Today is the opening of the 20th edition of Kolga Photo Week, and this year, just like last year, we have to greet you in a digital format. Nevertheless, the program will be as interactive and busy with various activities or workshops as possible, and we will invite you to various exhibitions throughout the year. We would like to thank the faithful partner of Photo Week, TBC Bank, our constant supporter Tbilisi City Hall, and partners Mtavari Channel, Art Area, Radio Commercant, RD Group, Alma, @G, and Public. This year, we have participants from 42 countries within the framework of the competition. First, we would like to present the members of the jury. Vanessa Winship, George Georgiou, Tina Schellhorn, Jens Fries, Stephen Cho. We have the opportunity to listen to Stephen Cho's video address on behalf of the jury.
Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Chow and I represent my fellow jury members, Tina, Vanessa, George, and Jan of the Kolga Photo Award. 8 years ago, I visited Tbilisi and it is the most beautiful city. I really miss the Kinkalis. I wish I could be judging the works in person, but as we all know, our plans for 2020 and present has been rocked by the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been a most challenging period for everyone and all the photographers, to say the least. However, it is also extremely heartening to take pleasure as well as amazement to look through every single entry in this photo contest with works coming from 41 countries around the world. Harnessing creativity, perceiving beauty, and telling much needed stories through photography has certainly thrived despite the challenges and odds. I would like to pay compliments to the entries from Eastern Europe as well as strong entries from Tbilisi itself. There are some very powerful work, and it has become a challenge for the jury to eventually select the winners. I also love the entries from the mobile photo category. It reminds me that it is not really the tool you use, but the eyes and the mind behind the camera that really matters. It is my honor and our collective pleasure to congratulate all the winners for the photo award. May this recognition bring your work to greater heights. Thank you.
Stephen Cho is an acclaimed artist and a member of Show and Lin. His latest project is presented at the Hermitage in Beijing, the CAFA Museum, and the Museum of Modern Photography in Chicago. Now it is time to reveal the winners. Their work can be viewed on our website from April 10th. The nominees for Conceptual Photo Project are Andrea Pietro Signori, Suspended. The rural life of Syrian refugees in Marjayoun in the middle of the Lebanese crisis. The crisis that hit Lebanon put the Syrian communities on their knees. This is the case of Marjayoun, where about 5,000 Syrian refugees live since the war broke out in Syria in March 2011. Along the border between Lebanon, Israel, and Syria, 860 families live in 74 informal camps. The concept involves the use of nylon used to cover furniture during the move. I wanted to accentuate the refugees' status, the political and work suspension, and the expectations by Syrian refugees to come back home. Jennifer Crane, Outlaw, and Other Failed Portraits. I consider the portrait as a trace of the body or performance for the lens. Since its inception, the photographic portrait has been used to honor or vilify the human subject. Initially, my interest was in exploring family portraits. This led to further explorations into the portrait photographs in the public context such as museums, institutional archives, and in the news media. In these images, I pose my own body before the lens, using a long exposure of several minutes rather than the conventional fraction of a second. They are made using wet collodion, one of the first photographic processes that requires the light-sensitive emulsion to stay wet while exposure is made, resulting at times in presence of liquid residue markings that interrupt the surface of the image and draw attention to the materiality of the photograph, which in most portraits remains invisible. Through the creation of this fictional archive, I seek to engage with issues of surveillance, memory, authenticity, and archival practices. Paolo Quadrini, Coronavirus Therapy. On March 11, 2020, the Italian government prohibited all movements of people within the national territory. I spent 82 days at home on lockdown. I live alone and every day was uncertain. After savoring weeks of solitude and contemplation, I felt vulnerable and inconsistent, looking for a new perspective. I wasn't sure what the next day would hold and what news to brace for next. But my home, the finite space where I was confined, encompassed all that I was. I chose to navigate this uncharted territory, exploring the deepest, truthful side of me, the one that just wants to exist. Here is my personal, wacky approach to defeat fear and loneliness, a tribute to my strength, my desires, my rebellion. This is my dissonant, visceral attempt to become my own refugee, a surreal silent cry. The previous winner of this nomination, Georgi Shengelia, will present this year's winner. It's an honor for me to be in this role, and I will be happy to announce the winners. However, before announcing the winners, I will take the opportunity to congratulate Kolga Photo on its 20th anniversary, and I wish it the best of luck. By the decision of the jury, the winners in the Conceptual Photo category are Andrea Pietro Signori and Jennifer Crane. Congratulations to them. The nominees for One Shot are Caspar Claasen, Grandmother's Hug; Giacomo de Orlando, The New Heroes; Mauro Scatolini, Luxurious Quarantine; Luisa Chalatashvili. Hello, first of all, I would like to congratulate Kolga Photo on its 20th anniversary, and in a few words, I would like to say why I love this contest. This competition has played a huge role in my career. The first time I won this competition, I was a beginner, and the biggest incentive for me was to win Kolga Photo contest. I participated for the second time in a turning point in my life, when I left my main profession and chose photography. Exactly that year coincided with my victory in this competition, and that also gave me a great incentive and helped me to move confidently. Now I will go to the more interesting part and announce the winner of the one-shot nomination. According to the decision of the jury, Caspar Claasen won the nomination with his work, Grandma's Hugs. Congratulations to him and the other winners as well. Caspar Claasen has captured the need for contact between the more frail elderly generation and the younger family during the pandemic in one single shot that tells all. The nominees for Reportage are Alessio Paduano, Coronavirus Pandemic in Italy. February 21, 2020 is a central date for the Italian story related to the new coronavirus. On this date, several cases of coronavirus emerged in the Lodi area of Lombardy. These are people who do not come from China. A new outbreak, the extent of which is still unknown. The infection was spread to Italy, especially in the north, but also began in other regions. On March 9, 2020, the Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte, during a speech to the nation, declares the Italian territory a protected area. On March 11, 2020, World Health Organization General Director Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus announced in the Geneva briefing on the coronavirus epidemic that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic situation. Italy remains one of the deadliest hotspots of the coronavirus pandemic. As of March 5, 2021, more than 99,000 people have died in the country, according to Johns Hopkins University. Matthias Young, Friedman's Valley. Friedman Sonnermann has been living for over 30 years in a side valley of the German Moselle River. In the lightless and cold valley, he cultivates ancient useful wild plants and herbs with the aim of preserving them. Their seeds are his only source of income. He sells them through a small seed mail order business. He lives largely from the produce of his king farm, and according to the ideal of a holistic life, subject to the seasons and cosmic influences. Niccolo Filippo Rosso, Consumed by Grief. In March 2021, the bodies of 13 migrants were returned to their village in Guatemala, wrapped in the national flags. It was the inverse of the journey they had made in January, when they had left the arid mountains of Comitancillo for the Texas border to find a job. Once in the United States, each would have paid over $11,000 debt contracted with a trafficker, a coyote, and send money to their families. There were 16 of them in all, allegedly killed by Mexican police in Tamaulipas state. Their bodies were found calcined, impossible to be recognized, except by a DNA test. 12 officers have been charged with homicide. Their funerals were an explosion of grief. Relatives, friends, and community members marched along dirt roads to crowded cemeteries, carrying photos of the dead, while marching bands played until the end of the ceremony. After the funerals, many of them would start another journey in search of a better life. Dina Oganova. I am very pleased to announce the winner of the Reportage nomination on the occasion of the honorable 20th anniversary of Kolga Photo. And the winner is Alessio Paduano, with his reportage, The Coronavirus Pandemic in Italy. Congratulations to the winner, and congratulations on the 20th anniversary of Kolga Photo. Alessio Paduano has depicted the pandemic that early on hit Italy like no other country, in horrifying details ranging from medication to hospitalization to the final stages and burial. The nominees for the Best Documentary Series are Didier Bizet, Baby Boom. Having appeared in the United States in the 1990s, Reborn is a doll that looks like a real newborn. With extreme realism and dedication to different uses, Reborn suffer from a bad reputation and are regularly pointed out as Reborn artists strive to create a hyper-realistic texture with details such as birthmarks, blood network, hair, pores, tears, saliva. The use and destination of these dolls are grouped into several main categories: Reborn artists, collectors, hospitals, and finally, adoptive fathers and mothers. The realism of the Reborn is so amazing that the medical centers for dependent seniors do not hesitate to use it to relieve the elderly with Alzheimer's disease, and pediatric hospital units to use it for educational purposes. What motivates a woman, a couple, to adopt a baby that looks like her, to love her like her own flesh, to walk her in a stroller? For some, they look like dead babies. For others, they are synonymous with hope, well-being, happiness, love, and sharing. Emile Ducke, The River Between. The Ket River was once a major Siberian thoroughfare. Though serpentine and relatively small, it connected two of Russia's biggest river basins, the Ob and the Yenisei. In a region where extremes of weather turn overland roads from inaccessible ice to muddy rubble and back, and where driving distances are measured in days and weeks, the corridor the Ket River provided was a key resource. But when the Trans-Siberian Railway was built, at the start of the previous century, west to east traffic on the Ket River, the farmers and traders and Tsarist troops began to dwindle. Fewer and fewer travelers needed the Ket, and today its banks are home to just a few scattered and solitary settlements. Felix Adler and Thomas Victor, Flatten the Curve. The corona pandemic is the central experience of our time. The globalized community was put into a coma. To fight the pandemic, borders, schools, shops are being closed, planes remain on the ground, hospitals have been working at their limit for a year. Politics is trying to find rules to deal with this new situation. Some are overzealous, others may be too careless, but one thing unites us all. We all have the same problem and want to solve it. With our series, we are tracing this phenomenon. Since March 2020, we document how our society deals with the situation. But the pictures not only show the tasks and problems that the coronavirus has brought with it, but also focus on people's ability to adapt. It is the time of inventors and lateral thinkers. Rules are redefined, tested, and sometimes broken again in order to find an adequate way of dealing with this difficult situation. What is in demand today has challenged people since day one, their ability to adapt. Simone Tramonte, Net Zero Transition. The coronavirus pandemic has brought about the most severe economic downturn the world has seen in recent years. However, this crisis is an unprecedented opportunity for a shift that will propel the world toward a sustainable living. Isolated and challenged by a harsh climate and battered by the financial crisis in 2008, Iceland has successfully transformed its economy. In a few decades, the country moved away from fossil fuels and 100% shifted to electricity production from renewable sources. This transition nurtured an ecosystem of innovation and entrepreneurship that grew profitable businesses with a minimal impact on the environment. Thus, Iceland has become a global leader in technologies that foster clean energy and emission reduction. This small nation indicates plenty of possible ways to tackle the global climate crisis and lead the transition to a net zero sustainable future. Nada Sopromadze. Congratulations on the 20th anniversary of Kolga Photo. Emile Ducke won the documentary photo series nomination for the series The River Between. Emile Ducke's images of the bathing people living along the Cat River is a series of a place where time seems to stand still and living off-grid comes natural, where community is a necessity for survival. And finally, the mobile photo nomination. The nominees for the best mobile photo are Marlene Hoberger, Empty Days; Paulo Nunes dos Santos, While They Were Sleeping; Zuka Kotrikadze, The Tsereteli Station; Varina Krasarian, Resting Soldier. Tato Koridze. Hello everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate Kolga Photo on its 20th anniversary, its entire creative team, and not only them, but also those who love photography. Kolga Photo is important for us, because for me personally, when I started photography 15 years ago, one of the motivators was the photo contest Kolga Photo, especially since there was no international festival then. Kolga has come a very long way, and I am glad to have come so far today. Now I have to name a winner in the Best Mobile Photo nomination. And Zuka Kotrikadze became the winner with his work Station Tsereteli. Congratulations, Zuka! Zuka Kotrikadze saw this situation arise when ascending by escalator and grabbed the device always at hand, the cell phone. The viewer may add the symbolic meaning of the corona according to his or her personal beliefs. This was the last nomination of this year's competition. Congratulations to all the winners. You can view the best photos on Kolga G. Once again, we would like to thank the presenter of the Photo Week, TBC Bank, and our permanent supporter, Tbilisi City Hall, as well as partners, Mtavari Channel, Art Area, Radio Commercant, RD, Alma, @G, and Public. Goodbye until next year, hoping for a face-to-face meeting.